Hi, I'm Jess, and today we're going to find out if a one-pot meal is actually as easy as everyone says it is. So I saw someone making Hamburger Helper the other day, and it just brought back all the nostalgic vibes, and so I wanted to try to make a homemade version. So I went online, found a recipe, and that's the one we're going to do today. It's the one-pan lightened up Hamburger Helper by Ambitious Kitchen. But I do make a couple changes, so I'll make sure to note that in the description below, and I'll also link the recipe that I use below. Now for this recipe, it only calls for 1 onion. However, I don't like big pieces of onion, so I actually puree my onions. And I heard this tip from a mom who was trying to get more veggies in her kids' dishes, and so she would puree them and the kid wouldn't even know they're in there, and it's worked for me also. So once it's pureed, I went ahead and pulled out my amount that was basically 1 onion. And since I went ahead and pureed a lot of other onions, I wanted to go ahead and freeze them into pucks. And this is just so I only have to do the actual pureeing process like 1 time, and then I will put them in the freezer and I'm able to pull them out whenever I want to use them. So this recipe called for 1 tablespoon of olive oil and 1 pound of lean ground turkey, but I had hamburger meat in the freezer that I wanted to use that I got from my local butcher. So I just pulled that out, let it thaw out, and that is what we're using today in this recipe. Also, you're going to set your temperature to medium to high heat. Once the hamburger meat was finished browning, I made a little spot in the center, and that's where I put my pureed onions, and then the recipe called for 3 cloves of garlic. I also usually keep garlic in pucks like I do the onions. However, I was out, so I just used fresh garlic. Then I mixed everything up, letting the onions and the garlic caramelize a little bit. And then it was time to add the salt and the pepper. And if anyone knows of a good electric pepper grinder, please comment below. I have been searching for one because the one I have just does not work well. Once you've salt and peppered to taste, then you're going to add 3 cups of low sodium chicken broth. And then you're supposed to add 8 ounces of tomato sauce, or 1 cup of tomato sauce. And I realized here I did not measure that. I just put the whole can. Now we're adding 1 cup of milk of choice, and I just pour it into the can first so that I can get the rest of the tomato sauce out of the can. Once that's combined, it's time to add the spices, and the recipe calls for half a teaspoon of dried oregano and half a teaspoon of paprika, but I used Italian seasoning, and then after I dropped the lid on the floor, I added my paprika. Finally, you're just going to stir until well combined. Next, you're going to want to stir in your pasta, and it says to cook uncovered until the pasta is tender, and it also says that it usually takes 10 to 12 minutes depending on the pasta size. I did find that I had to stir my pasta like every minute or 2 because it was wanting to stick to the bottom. However, after about 10 minutes, I thought it was looking really good, so that's when I decided I'd go ahead and add the next ingredient, which was the cheese. It called for 1 cup of sharp cheddar cheese. I did a little bit more than that. You know, it's cheese. You can't have too much, right? Decided to do a little taste test, see if I needed any salt and pepper, which I did. I'm honestly really interested in knowing what your nostalgic meal would be. And that was it. We were finished with our 1-pot meal. So to answer the question, is a 1-pot meal actually easier? I think so. I mean, I used some other utensils and I used some measuring cups, but overall it was very easy to put together with ingredients I pretty much had. And cleanup was so simple.